Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Crime and Entertainment. Again, we have our guest straight out of Brooklyn, Anthony Raimondi. Anthony, how you doing, my friend?
Good, good. Not too bad. How you doing today?
Man, I'm making it. It's Mother's Day here. I don't know when we're actually going to drop this episode, but even if it
Right.
does come a little later, we'll say Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
So we covered a lot of ground with you on our first episode. You know, your first
Yeah.
murder, you going into the service. We touched on the Pope. We touched on you coming back, being a maid guy, and a few
Hmm.
other stories. One of the biggest things, I guess, that we talked about in that first episode is how people say, well, I don't know him, or I'd never heard of him, or whatever. Well,
Right.
there's a lot of age gap difference in a lot of these guys nowadays. And what we kind of wanted to get to today with you, who are some of the guys that you had experiences with? And I want to bring out a few names, and you just kind of tell me like what your
Yeah.
experiences were, if any, and just maybe a story or two about them.
Yeah.
Um, the first one we'll go with, I'm sure you've seen the movie Goodfellas. Was Jimmy Burke, Paulie Vario, Henery Hill. Did you have any
Yeah.
dealings with any of those guys? Because we'll get into the
Yeah.
Lufthansa thing too. But first, let's talk about those guys personally. Any experiences with those guys?
Well, all right. With Henry Hill, experience I had with him, like I told you last time, there was a Big Mike DeSimone, Uncle Mike DeSimone, we called him, had a club in Staten Island called the Cosmopolitan Lounge, and I went to see him. And I said, Mike, I says I want to do some business in your club. He says, what? I said, bookmaking. I'll take numbers, horses, sports action. I said, I'll give you a piece of the action. Shylock and whatever. He says, "Go ahead, Anthony, no problem." Now his people were with the Genovese family, but I was friendly with them. So go ahead. So I'm operating at his place. Yeah, nice club. And about maybe 4 or 5 months go by, and I noticed that my money's a little short every night. 500 here, 300 here, 400 here. At the end of the week, you're looking at three, four, five, 6,000, depending on the week. And I told my guys, I said, my runners I had in the club, what's going on? I said, all of a sudden my money is short. I said, who's robbing? And I was ready to put one of them. I was ready to put one of their heads in a meat grinder. You're taking my money, let me take everybody. I don't give a shit. I'll make chopped liver out of you. They said, no. They said, there's a guy in here dealing drugs. I says, what's he dealing? He's dealing coke. He's dealing dope. He's dealing pot. He's dealing hash. I says, bring the guy to me. They says, he's not here now. I said, all right, tomorrow, Friday night, I'll be here. Like usual, bring him to me. They brought him over, and guy sat down. What are you doing? All right, how you doing? I says, listen, what are you doing in my club? So he looked at me. He goes, well, it's Big Mike's club. I says, yeah, but Big Mike didn't give you permission to sell dope in here and drugs. Number one. I said, number two, I take all the action in this club. Now you're cutting in on my action. So here's what we're going to do. One, you got two choices. One, you're going to leave and you're not going to come back no more. Two, you tell me you're not going to leave and nobody will see you again. That's it. There's no two ways about it. So he started in, I'm with Paulie Vario. It's okay. Set it up with Paulie Vario. You tell him it's Anthony Cigars. I says, he knows who I am. And I know who Paulie is. I'll come and see him. Anyway, I go see Paulie the next day. It was on Saturday. It was already set up. I go see Paulie. Paulie goes to me, Anthony, what's going on? You threatened my guy. And I said, Paulie. I says, he's operating at Uncle Mike's club. I says, that's my spot. I'm doing all the action out of there. This guy's coming in. I'm losing between 3 to 6,000 a week over here. But this guy's selling drugs in the place. Now, Uncle Mike don't want drugs in the place. You know that. We all know that. So now I'm told to tell you, Paulie, there's one or two things. Either he stays out of the club or they're not going to find him. I said, and if you do have a problem with it, Paulie, I said, Paulie, me and you, we got no problem. I said, but when the guys upstairs say it, that's the law.
Mm-hmm.
He said, don't worry about it. I said, the guy's not going to come no more. I said, okay. The guy never came back. About a year or two go by. And Teddy Persico Sr. gets in touch with my cousin Mac and says, I got a good guy. He's a good earner. I want to put him in your crew with you and your cousin, with me and my cousin Mac. Okay, why not? Let's see who the guy is. We set up a thing to meet, and we met it was Caesar's Bay in Brooklyn at the end of Bay Parkway. It's called Caesar's Bay. There's a whole bunch of stores. We got like a big Target store there. It used to be a big flea market at one time. I pull up with the car. Me and my cousin sitting in the car. I see Uncle Teddy pulls up because we all called him Uncle Teddy because he was older than us. Like everybody in the family, all the younger guys called Teddy Uncle Teddy Priceco Senior. We called him Uncle Teddy. He comes out of the car. Me and my cousin Mac are out of the car. I see Henery Hill comes out, and I'm looking. I thought I was seeing things, and well, as they're walking towards me and walking towards them, he catches me. He looks at me, and he recognized me, and I can see the look on his face. So Uncle Teddy comes up and he goes, Mac, I want to introduce you. I said, excuse me. I said, that's Henery Hill. So Teddy goes to me and goes, how do you know? I says, he's the guy I threw out of Uncle Mike's club. He was the one who was tapping 6,000 a week out of my thing, selling drugs and dope. I said, he's a dope dealer. Now, Teddy didn't know this. He didn't know he was a dope dealer because he was saying that he was doing hijackings and all this other nonsense. My cousin Mac looked at me and goes, you sure? I says, Henry, tell him, am I lying, Henry? I said, Henry, tell me, Henry, you don't know me? Didn't I show you at the club? Tell me you don't deal dope, Henry. He didn't open up his mouth. He didn't say a word. And my cousin was cool about it. He says, I'll tell you what you're going to do. He goes, get him out of here because I'll kill him right here. He says, get him out of here. And he says, don't bring him around. He goes, and Teddy says, get rid of him. Anyway, we got back in the car, took off. And then I met Teddy later on that night. Me and my cousin met him. Teddy sent a call for us. And he says, what happened? I says, Teddy, that's the guy I told you. I said, you didn't know he was into drugs? He says, no. He goes, he told me he was doing hijackings. He had scores and everything. I says, and he's with Paulie Vario. He goes, well, he wasn't happy with Paulie Vario and he wanted to come over here. I said, so where is he now? He goes, he went back to Paulie. I said, the guy's a turncoat. You can't trust him. Mm-hmm. That's what came down to Henery Hill.
Now,
I'll tell you one thing. Teddy never bothered with him after that. If Teddy seen him and he said hi to Teddy, Teddy just turned his face and walked away.
What about
Teddy said, I don't need that type of aggravation. We got enough problems of our own that we can get arrested for. We got to have this guy around us. What are you kidding me?
Yeah, everything that I've heard about Henry was that he was really a liability. Just especially on the drugs. It really wasn't a matter of if he was going to get caught and probably roll on somebody just when, and that's exactly what
when.
Did you ever have any experiences with Jimmy Burke?
Jimmy Burke was an Irish guy, and Jimmy Burke was what you would call a real gangster. In other words, he wasn't the type of guy that if he had a problem, he'd go run into his higher ups. He would take care of it himself. Mm-hmm. Jimmy Burke was very good friends with my cousin Mac, because my cousin Mac was half Irish and half Italian. The only dealings that I really like, we would go out drinking together. We would go to clubs together. We had broads together and everything like that. The only business I ever really did and got involved with him in was with the Lufthansa. Because what happened, there was a guy, Marty Krugman. No, I told you before, Marty Krugman was on TV and used to run his fingers through his hand, say, hard to believe I'm bald, pull his hand, jump in the swimming pool. Yeah, Marty Krugman had a bookmaking business and a Shylock business. And he would take home about 10 grand a week. But he was borrowing money from Jimmy Burke because he was taking home 10 grand a week, but he was spending 14,000 a week. You follow? Yeah. So he was into Jimmy Burke for a lot of money, paying him juice. Marty Krugman had a connection with a guy in Kennedy Airport. And the guy told him about these things that were coming in, money, jewelry, and it was getting shipped overseas to Germany through the Lufthansa freight and everything. And he had this whole thing mapped out, and he brought it to Jimmy Burke. Now, Jimmy Burke looked at it. Jimmy Burke says, we got to get guys in on it who know what they're doing. So they called a meeting. There's a couple of representatives from every family that was there. My cousin Mac came because Jimmy Burke told my cousin Mac, he was the first one. He called Mac. He says, I want to get the Colombos in on this, whatever it is. They says, okay, you come to the meeting and bring Pluto with you, because they nicknamed me Pluto. That was Big Alley Boy Persico gave me that as a nickname at one time, because when I was on the Lamb, they didn't want to use my name. So when they had a program on about outer space and they said to Planet Pluto, they said, that's what we're calling him. Excuse me. So I went, and there was guys that I knew from all the families there. There was guys from the Lucchese family I knew. There was guys from the Bonanno family, the Genovese family, and the Gambino family. And they says we got to now all the families were going to be involved because every family had somebody in the airport, so everybody got a piece of the action. You know what I'm saying? They got a taste. Let's put it that way. So they were coming up with plans. One guy's plan was we're going to go in there with helicopters. Now, picture now you talk about in an airport, helicopters go over the office, the Lufthansa office where it was, bring the cables down, have guys there, rush in there, hook them up, pull the safe out of the wall with the helicopters, pull up, and take off. I looked at my cousin. I says, "This is bullshit." So one guy heard me go, "Yeah." One guy heard me say something. He goes, "Yeah, well, who are you to open up your mouth?" My cousin Max said he's got the right to talk because I said so. He goes, "What's your problem?" I said, "There's only one problem." I said, "All due respect, I didn't mean to say anything to anybody, but all due respect, there's one problem." "Yeah, what is it, smart ass?" The guy tells me. I says, "You're in an airport. How are you going to get away?" He looks at me. He goes, we're in the sky in a helicopter." I says, "You have fighter jets in New Jersey. You got jets in Connecticut. They will be here in under 3 minutes. How are you going to get away from them?" Nobody answered me. A couple of guys started laughing in the other families. A couple of guys were laughing. They says, "You know what? Kid's right. And how are you going to get away? You can't. You're going to come with a helicopter. You figured out." I said, "I'm just trying to explain to you. I'm going by a tactical maneuver. You're hovering over the office. You're letting down the cables. You got guys rushing into the office trying to hook this stuff onto the safe to pull it out of the wall with the helicopter, which can be done. By the time that's done, the fighter jets are going to be there. Then you're going to have the battle copter that comes with the 50 caliber machine guns, which is 8 barrels to 10 barrels around, that fires maybe like it covers a square foot, every inch of a square. It was called Puff the Magic Dragon years ago. It covers when they fire it. It covers every square inch of a football field in under 30 seconds.
Damn.
How are you going to get away? Okay. Another guy comes up that we're going to come in there with trucks, crash through the office. Okay. Get the safe, however you're going to get it, pull it out of the wall with the trucks, drag it or whatever, put it on the truck and go away. Okay. Again, how are you going to get away? Well, we're in the trucks, we're going on the highway. You're in the airport. You're going to have guys that are, they're going to have, like I said before, they're going to have fighter jets that can spot us and blow us right off the sidewalk. Let's put it that way. You're going to have cops there. You're going to have troopers there. I said, there'll be more heat down there than we know what to do with. And then you got to remember, too, you got the Army barracks. Those guys are going to come out. So if it takes them 5 minutes to get there, it's going to take at least 10 minutes to pull off this deal. Everybody's laughing and everybody's trying to figure out a way. So one guy laughs and says, "Yeah, we need Superman." I said, "Yeah, if we had Superman, he flies in, gets in, he takes off." I said, "Yeah." It was going back and forth for about an hour. So I says, "Mac," I says, "I got an idea." He goes, "Let's." So Jimmy Burke says, "Let's hear it." I said, "There's one guy I would go and see." I says, "And I would speak with him about it. And if he had any ideas, this would be the guy that could do it." He goes, "Who are you going to go see?" I said, I'll take a, I said, "I'll get a flight tomorrow, the day after. I'll go to Miami. I'll go see Meyer Lansky." So Jimmy Burke looked at me. He says, "Go ahead." My cousin Max says, "Let's go." Next day, we got on. I got a flight because back then you could just get flights going out. You didn't have all this security and everything because this was way before 9/11. Went down to Miami, called up Maya. He met us at the airport. We went to his house he had a house down near Collins Avenue. I explained him the situation. He goes, "Let me look and let me see what it is." He goes, "And I'll tell you if it can be done or it can't, or if it's worth doing or not worth doing." Okay, great. Next day we flew back. Day after that, Maya comes up. Now everybody says, "Oh, Maya Lansky was never in New York," and blah blah blah. I says, "All right, listen to me. The girl who was doing the book for me at the time is an award-winning writer, Lisa Pelitzer. She checked with the FBI, and the FBI has surveillance pictures of Meyer Lansky in Brooklyn, New York in 1978 on 3 different occasions. We didn't know that he was being tailed. Now, 3 different occasions, because I had him in New York 3 different times. You got one. We went to the airport. There was Jimmy Burke in the front seat, Mac in the front seat, and me and Meyer in the back. And we went past the Lufthansa office. Meyer was looking through the airport. He looked at everything. And he asked me, he says, what's in those two crates? There were two steel K crates. They were about 3 feet high, maybe 3 feet wide apiece, next to each other with a big orange circle in it with a big black check mark in each one of them, just sitting there. But they were chained together next to each other. You follow?
Mm-hmm.
Maya goes, there's something in those cases. Maya said, you're crazy. I said, look, this is what, look, I'm telling you, there's something in there. So he looked around. We went back and forth in the airport for 2 days. He goes back to Miami. Then about maybe a month later, he comes back. We went back again. He looked at it, and these two crates are still sitting there. So now he says, I'm telling you, there's something in there. Now I'm starting to think maybe he's right, that there is something. Because why are these two crates still sitting there? Now Maya starts putting the plan together. He wanted to know who was from each family, like what guy from each family was where in the airport. He came back again a third time in December. When he came back in December, we went to the airport, and these crates were still there, right outside the Lufthansa office. They were just sitting there. Nobody bothering them. So it's okay. Maya says, I got a plan. He put the whole plan together. He said it has to go off precisely as I say. Now, anybody who was in the other families had a specific thing they had to do, something they had to watch, or they had to do like a crash car or set off an alarm or something if needed be, if it happened. But the two families that got the bulk was the Lucchese family and the Colombo family.
Mm-hmm.
Got the bulk of the proceeds from that. Anyway, it went off. The score went off without a hitch. Now, here's the catch. In the Lufthansa office, he got 5 million in cash and about, no, I'm sorry, it was 6 million. Excuse me, 6 million in cash. And there was about 400, 500,000 in jewelry. He had three teams. One went in there and one worked on one case, one worked on the other crate. When they opened them up, in the other crate, there was jewelry. In the other crate, there was it, 5 little boxes. It came out to $30 million in bearer bonds with the manifest and everybody's names, all shipped to go to Germany. This stuff is sitting there. Now, after the score was done, cash was brought down and we divided up the cash. When the cash was divided up, the bosses themselves came down. Everybody says, oh, bosses are not going to come down. They're going to send somebody. No. When you're handing a boss 700,000, $1 million, he's coming down in person.
Mm-hmm.
He ain't sending no small time guy or no captain down or anybody, or not even or his country. He's coming in person, which they did. Which these people don't understand this. The boss is not going to let some other, somebody lower than him go handle $1 million for him. They all got pieced off. Now I had to get the jewelry, and I took the jewelry down to Florida. Me and my cousin Mac went down to Florida with the jewelry. We drove to Florida, saw Meyer stood at the house, and Meyer let us stay at, it was, what's his name? The guy who got killed, Benny Siegel's house.
Yeah.
Benny Siegel had a house on the Intercoastal Waterway in Fort Lauderdale that when you would buy the mall and there's Intercoastal, there's a little part of an island his house was there. People owned the house. Meyer got them out because he put them in there to live because he never sold it to anybody at the time. He put them up in the condo, which was across the water, and we went into the house over there. All right, that was fine because Meyer owned all that property out there too. Meyer comes back, back and forth. We're going out. We're having a good time. 2 days go by. Meyer says, I'm coming to the house. I said, all right. He comes to the house, 5 million in cash. He got for the jewelry. We pieced him off, took the 5 million, stood another night. Next day, two in the car, came to New York, divided, gave everybody their end. Now we got to take the bearer bonds. Week goes by, throw all the bearer bonds in the car. No big deal. Boop, drive to Florida. Now Maya says, okay, gets these people back out of the house again, puts them back in the condo, and we're back in the house. All right. Gets him, he says, 5 million in bearer bonds. I says, what are we going to get on this? He says, don't worry about what we, he goes, I got a guy. It's okay. Make a long story short, we got on the bearer bonds, it was, I think, about 26 million cash. Cash. This is cash. No guy, cash. And the guys who we sold it to, I have this in book too, was the president and the vice president of the Williamsburg Savings Bank in Brooklyn. They're the ones who moved it, and they made $4 million their end. Yeah. Yeah. They're the vice president, the vice president. I got this in book too. Anyway, Meyer gets his end. Now we got to get the money, and we got to stash the money in my car because we got to drive back to New York. So where you put over $20 million in a fucking car, in $100 bills? So here's what I had to do. I take my back seat out of the car, and it had, the springs and all the I rip everything out. We're piling up the money in stacks. I'm trying to make it like to cover it up, and I do the seat cover over it, and I tacked it down in my car. I ripped out my whole freaking back seat in my car. Now we still had that filled up. Now we had money left over. Now I open up the trunk of the car, and there's a platform. You lift it up, and there's a spare tire. Took out the spare, threw money in there, put the tire down. We still got money. I said, fuck it. Throw the money on top of the tire and the wheel well. Did it and put the board over it, the platform. Put all my shit on top. Okay, we're good. We'll drive back to New York tomorrow. So here's how we did. We would drive during the day. At nighttime, we would find some little shady rinky-dink motel where you could pull up with your car like in front of your room. I would stay in the car and go to sleep. My cousin would go in the room and go to sleep. He'd come and wake me up. I'd go in the room on the bed. He would go in the car. We only drove during the day. Now, I'm talking to him, and we're driving, and we're in I think we're in the Carolinas now. We get to the Carolinas. I say, cuz. I says, what a chance we're taking with this money? He looked at me and goes, shut up. He goes, I already know. I've been thinking about it. I said, if we get pinched and they take this money, I said, we're both dead. Oh, yeah. We're both fucking dead. We're both dead. They'll kill us somewhere. They'll either kill us in the prison or whatever. Because they're talking like over $20 million disappearing over here. We were laughing about it. He said, shut up. He said, let's get the fuck home. I said, you're right. Let's get home. We made it I got back into New York that night. It was about maybe 8:30. I said, perfect. I pulled right into the garage in my house, put the car in the garage, closed the door, took my cousin's car, parked it in front of my garage, but long ways across. So you ain't opening that door, because if you open that door, you ain't getting that fucking car out. I had all types of security. We went in the house and got it and went to sleep. The next day, we go back down. And we went down to Honey's lot. And Honey had a lot between 3rd and Evans Avenue on Carroll Street. He had a big lot. And he used to have cars in there, trucks. He had a crane in there that he used to chop up cars with and everything. And we put the word out that the money was here. Now, everybody's coming down, but we says, you know what? Instead of everybody coming at one time, because it's going to attract a lot of attention, this family comes, say like the Bonanno family. You come down at 1 o'clock. Then say 2:30, the Lucchese, the 2:30, I'm sorry, let's say the Genovese family. Say 4 o'clock, the Gambino family. And naturally the what's called the Lucchese family, and us, we were already there. Mm-hmm. It was where we piece everybody off. Because if everybody comes down at one time, you're gonna see all these gangsters coming to one area, converging on one area. All of a sudden the FBI is gonna come in and we're all gonna be screwed.
Gonna have another Appalachian.
Where did this money come from? So that's how we did it. We pieced everybody off. But Meyer Lansky told me, he says, you know what we did? I says, what? He goes, the crooks robbed the crooks. I says, what do you mean the crooks robbed the crooks? He goes, we're crooks. I says, yeah. And we robbed crooks. He says, because in those two cases, that jewelry, $5 million worth, 30 million in bearer bonds, slated to go to Germany with the manifest in everybody's name. He goes, they robbed it from somebody who probably doesn't know they got it robbed. They were going to ship it to Germany, change it over to American money and keep it. He says, so crooks robbed the crooks. I said, that's right. We're crooks. Those are crooks. These crooks robbed those crooks. So the crooks robbed the crooks. That's how we did it. Now the thing is this: everybody was told, don't play around. In other words, let everything go as usual. Don't go flashy, whatever. And guys just didn't listen. There were guys that were spending money, and these guys were the guys that were in Jimmy Burke's crew.
Mm-hmm.
Now there was one or two guys in there was one guy I know in the Colombo crew, and he got clipped. He got clipped. All right. But everybody else was in Jimmy Burke's crew or in the Lucchese family. Let's put it that way. Most of them were over there. And the guys just didn't listen because they were spending like mad dogs all over the place. Now the thing with the car, I'm gonna tell you the story with the car was I can't remember the kid's name. Um, I can't remember the guy's name, but he got whacked years later. He bought, I think it was a Thunderbird or a Cadillac, brand new cash. And what happened at that time, when you bought a car cash, the car company had to let the FBI know.
Right.
And plus, you had Lufthansa, and they put a bug in the car underneath where the radio was. They put a bug over there.
Ah.
And what happened was they were able to get some information, but not all of it because it was near where the radio was. When they turned the radio on, it was static.
Yeah.
But the guy, what the hell was his name? He had an uncle in the Gambino family. He had an uncle in the Gambino family, and they were going to whack him because he was creating a lot of problems. But the uncle stopped it. But when I was away in prison in 1984, I think it was 1984, I'm pretty sure it was 84. I heard he got clipped. I can't remember. I'm trying to remember the guy's friggin' name.
I can't.
Angelo Seppi. I think
Okay.
it was Angelo Seppi. He had an uncle that was, I think it was either the Gambino family or the Genovese. I'm pretty sure it was the Gambinos. And he stopped the hit on him. This guy was saying, I want more money. I want more money. He spent all his money. This guy had a couple of $1 million. He blew it. He blew it on God knows what. He created such a ruckus that the story I got now, the story that was told to me, because like I said, I was in prison, they agreed to give him $1 million. Two guys went to his apartment in Brooklyn. He was on, I think he lived around Bath Avenue or somewhere around there in 20th Avenue, somewhere around there. They went in, he had a basement apartment. They went in with an attaché case or a suitcase, whatever, put it down. There's your money. He turned around to open it up. They blew his brains out with silences. But then what I heard and I felt bad about was they killed Joni. They went into bedroom. She was sleeping and they shot her in her sleep. They killed her in her sleep. There was no cause to kill her. She was sleeping. She didn't hear nothing. They shot this guy with silences. You didn't hear nothing. But the guy who just wanted, I guess he just wanted to kill her. And a lot of people made a complaint about that. A lot of people started in. They said, well, Joni should have never died. She should have never got whacked. And from what I understand, I believe, if I'm correct, I believe the guy who shot her, I think he got clipped later on.
Okay.
I think he got whacked later on.
Angelo John Sepe, from what I've seen in my notes here, he was a gangster in the Lucchese family.
Right.
Yeah.
But he had an uncle, I think it was either in the Gambinos or in the Genovese people. And he's the one who stopped the hit from going down on him because
Right.
the way he was spending, he was the one who bought the car. It was either a Thunderbird or a Cadillac he bought. And
Yeah.
they put the bug in the car but by the radio.
Yeah. In the movie, it was a Cadillac. I'm not sure what it was in real life. I think it was a pink Cadillac, too, as a matter of fact.
Well, I think it was either a Thunderbird he bought or it was a Cadillac. It was one or the other. I'm not sure which car it was that he bought.
Now, what about Tommy DeSimone? Did you ever have any run-ins with him?
Tommy, I met him a couple of times. I've never done business with Tommy. Tommy was a little too, let's say he was a little unstable. A little too unstable, this guy.
That's what I hear. He was pretty much
But now,
off his damn rocker, from what I hear.
the story that I got on how Tommy got clipped, not the way it was in the story. That's not the way I heard it. The way I heard it was Tommy already had a button. He had his button. But What happened was they says that when Tommy was coming up in the ranks, let's put it that way, he was a little, he leaned a little to the left. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He was, he was like maybe 2 sheets to the wind. But he done something big, and they gave him his button. And once they gave him that, he leaned all the way to the. He wasn't 3 sheets to the wind. He was like 100 sheets to the wind. This guy getting into trouble, and it just so happened he got his button just before Lufthansa. Now then, Lufthansa came, and there was all these other problems that came, and Tommy was creating more and more problems. And uh, the story that I got was that uh, how can I put it? He disrespected. I guess you could say he disrespected somebody in another family by putting his hands on them, which you're not supposed to. You're a made guy. If you got two made men, you're not supposed to put your hands on each other.
Right.
You don't. That's the law. You don't. Now, if you're a maid and I'm made, and I put my hands on you. You at that time have all the right. You can kill me
Yeah.
because I put my hands on you. We're not supposed to put our hands on each other. We go to whoever our captain is or whatever, and we sit down and we hash it out. But when you put your hands on another made guy, you got a problem. And originally, from what I was told, this is what happened with Tommy. Now, if it's true or not, I don't know, but this is a story I got from a lot of reliable people back then. And Tommy's was like, he didn't just give a shit who it was. I'm this, I'm that, I can do whatever I want. And the word came down that Tommy had to go. So what happened, they told Tommy they were bringing some new inductees into the family and that he was going to get a promotion. They were going to make him a lieutenant. Now, a story I got was they went to a particular area, whether it was somebody's house or a place that somebody had. And there were a couple of guys there that were going to get straightened out that night. There's one kid that was going to get straightened out. They gave him the thing to kill Tommy. And they were at the house. And Tommy had said, he asked Tommy, would you like a drink? Tommy said, yeah, told him what to make him. The kid turned around to get the drink. Tommy's sitting in the chair. Kid turned around and put 3 bullets in Tommy's head.
Wow.
End of story. Kid was made. The kid got made. That was the kid's work he had to do to get made. And that's what I heard happened with Tommy.
Now, I heard a story, and I don't know, it could be the same one you heard, I don't know, but that he got into a very heated exchange with John Gotti over something like involving some suits or something like that. And they got in a pretty heated beef. Like I said, involving some suits. I don't know if John had some he wanted, and I guess one of them was Tommy's that he had picked out or something. And it like almost came to blows at that point in time between those two. But that was kind of like a deciding factor, if you will, because it's often been reported that John was the one that killed him. As a
I don't know who killed him, but I was told that he put his hands on another made guy. And that right off the top, that sealed it for him. Plus, with all the problems he was causing, and they said it can't be no more. He's got to go.
All right. Did you ever have any dealings with John?
No. I met him like 2-3 occasions. I met him when I was down on Mulberry Street. When I was at, I would go have dinner in Casabella's, or I would go down to, what you call it? Excuse me, I'd go to one, or I'd go down to like, the pastry store and pick up pastries down there or something. But that was about as far as it went. I never had no dealings. I had dealings with Carmelo Bardoza, who was a big captain in the family. He was a Shylock, he was top man in the Shylock business. I had a lot of business with him years ago. Later on in years, we had the clubs in Manhattan that we were getting Shylock money from, and I needed to bring somebody else in to help me. And I says, who else can I get? I said, I'll bring Carmine Lombardoza. Naturally, I gave him a piece of the action, but he was a genius. When it came to Shylock business, he was a genius.
Mm-hmm.
Man was unbelievable. Now, everybody says, why do they call him a doctor? I know why they called him the doctor. You put a knife in his hand, he'll cut you up like a surgeon. That's how good he was with a knife when he was younger. Wow. He was the best with a knife. You put a knife in his hand, he'd hit you so many times you wouldn't even know you were cut up until all your blood splits. So you know your blood falling out of you. That's why they called him a doctor, because he was great with a knife.
What about Roy DeMeo? Did you ever have any run-ins with him?
No.
Yeah. A lot of times in a lot of these groups, man, there's a name that comes up all the time, and a lot of people shoot holes in a lot of his claims and stories. But Richard Kuklinski, the Iceman, claimed to have dealt with a lot of people in the mob, was involved in a lot of hits in the mob.
Mhm.
And to a certain extent, I think some of that probably is maybe stretched a little bit. Did you know or hear anything about him or the work that he did? Obviously, he was a killer, but I don't necessarily know if I would classify him as a hitman. I just think he was a damn straight serial killer.
He, I never met him, and the only stories I heard about him was like what was on television or the news, you know?
Mhm.
Because down where I stood, because I was on Carroll Street and Third Avenue with the Diplomat Lounge we had, and I never heard his name mentioned down there.
Yeah.
I was also, I had a piece of the Desiree Club on West 6th Street, which was given to me from Christy Tick, who was the consigliere to the Lucchese family. He gave me a part of the club. And when I used to go to the 19th hole, I never heard of Kuklinski's name either. I
Yeah.
never heard of it in there.
Hmm.
A lot of places I traveled around, I never heard this guy's name.
Yeah. Yeah, that seems to be the case. A lot of people, shoot holes in a lot of things that he claimed, because he's obviously long since dead now. Um, what about another guy that's kind of making waves right now on YouTube because he's got his YouTube show out and his story is well known. Michael Franzese.
Well, I have quite a few videos I've done in quite a few years where I called Michael Franzese a liar on some things that he said, because the reason why I said he was a liar or he wasn't telling the truth. Let me be nice about saying telling the truth because I was there and he wasn't.
Right.
Like, here, I'll explain. There was one thing where he said that when Joe Colombo got shot, he said he was there to try to help his father get out of prison, that he left college, which is admirable of him. Don't get me wrong. And he said that Joe Colombo told him to go up to 6th Avenue near the bus depot and give out flyers. And he said that he was 10 feet away from Joe Colombo when Joe Colombo got shot. Okay, that was one. Now, the next story he says is that Joe Colombo, he came, the same thing, he came to help his father, which, like I said before, is admirable. The kid left college, the man left college. And that Joe Colombo sent him up to 6th Avenue somewhere, I don't remember exactly where, is what he's saying, to give out flyers. And he said, and I was about 50 feet from Joe Colombo when he got shot. So which one is it? Were you 10 feet away or were you 50 feet? And one thing you say, he sent you to 6th Avenue by the bus depot to give out flyers. The next one you say, he sent you somewhere around 6th Avenue. You don't remember exactly where to give out flyers. So 1 minute you were 10 feet away. Next minute you're 50 feet away. Make up your mind. Which one is it? You can't be both. He only got shot that one time, Joe Colombo. They didn't shoot him and then bring him back and shoot him again. Right? Now, he turned around and he said about Greg Scarpa. He said that him and Greg Scarpa, they were captains. He said they were friends. They used to go down to Third Avenue together and this, that, and whatever. Eh, I said, I never seen him with Greg Scarpa. The next video, he says, well, I particularly didn't like the guy, but we were both captains. But I particularly didn't like the guy and I didn't stay with him. So make up your mind. Did you come to Third Avenue with him? You didn't come. You didn't like him. You're both captains, but you didn't like. Make up your mind. So it's like stories like that that he's saying. Just like he says one thing, he says that with his gas business, which he did have the gas business, there's no doubts about that. Don't get me wrong. 1 minute he's saying he made $2 million a week, and he gave the boss of the family 25%. He said 400,000. Well, 25% of $2 million is 500,000. So evidently you did your math wrong. That's number one. Then he turns around and he says he was making $20 million a week. Then he said in 10 years he made, I think, 10 billion or 20 billion. Well, make up your mind. Then in another statement, he's saying he had a crew of 300 men working for him in the gas tax business. Now, 300 men meaning Italian, Irish, Polish, Black, Spanish, Russian, whatever. Now, I know for a fact that the boss of the family If he sees, now you're a captain in the family, fine and well and good, no taking that away from you. You got that on account of your father. But if you got 300 men under your command, as you're putting it, that are in your crew, as you put it, that are with the gas rationing, one of two things is going to happen. One, the boss is going to call you in, and they either, one, going to take that whole crew away from you because they're going to say, what do you think you're going to do? You could turn around and come against me and my family? One. Or two, they're going to whack you and take the business. One or the other is going to happen because no boss throughout the history of this thing here would have anybody in his family that has 300 men directly under that guy's command. Never happened.
Yeah. At that
Never
point, you're
happened.
bigger than some of the other families.
Thank you. Now, wait a minute. Then he's saying in another video, if you're going to be a gangster, you got to fly under the radar. You got to be conservative. You want to dress nice, but don't be flashy. Don't do this, don't do that, everything, right? Okay. In another video, he's telling you, yeah, I told the DA I got my OCT3, whatever it is, helicopter outside. Go on, I know you got to go to Long Island. I'll give you a lift I'll give you a lift out to Long Island in my helicopter, or you can take my limousine, or you can take my jet plane. So make up your mind. You're saying not to be flashy, and then the other way you're saying you're make up your friggin' mind. Come on. All I'll tell you is this. Everything he got, if it wasn't for his father, he would have got shit.
Yeah.
Sonny Franzese was not liked. He was loved. Listen what I'm telling you. He was a gangster's gangster. Listen what I'm telling you. And he used to go see Tony Napoli, who we call TN. I called Tony Napoli cousin. He passed away. I made a mistake. I had made a video where I said that Sonny passed away first and then TN. No, TN passed away first. I made a mistake on that one. Somebody corrected me on it, which I appreciated.
Could have been our
And
friend
TN
Matt
was up in
Granahan.
Queens.
He's a friend of the show. I think he had mentioned something about that, Matt Granahan.
Yeah, he's an older guy, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I never got a chance to talk to him. And he could verify it because Billy was TN's nephew to marriage, okay? And I'm friends with Billy to this day. We're still friends. And Laura, who Tony Napoli was married to, TN, lived on 12th Street, right across the street from me. She was my neighbor. And what happened, my father was good friends with Jimmy Knapp, which was TN's father.
Right.
And one day, Tony was on the block, and I knew Tony from then. That's how far back I know Tony and them. And Laura was out, and he kept staring at Laura. So my father says, "You like her?" She says, "Yeah, I think she's pretty, whatever." And my father introduced them to each other. And whatever happened, they went out and they got married. And Laura passed away a year before TN. TN died about maybe a year, maybe a little more than a year after Laura, because Laura had gotten cancer and she died. And me and Billy, my cousin Billy, who is married to TN's niece, he turned around, TN's cousin rather, turned around and said he's not going to last long. And then we got the call that one, I forgot which daughter it was, went to the house and they found him dead in the bed. He died about a year to a year and a couple of months after her. They were sweethearts from day one, let's put it that way. And I knew he wasn't going to last long without her. But Sonny Franzese used to have a guy take him wherever Sonny was staying in, whatever with the home or house or wherever he was. The guy had a van that was, wheelchair equipped that you can go up with. And he used to take him to TN's house all the time to see TN. Took him there all the time to see him.
Yeah, and those guys had a big piece of Vegas too, right?
Yeah, but what you call it? But excuse me, Sonny. If it wasn't for Sonny, Michael would have never had nothing. And I don't care what Michael says. Michael could say any bullshit he wants. Excuse me, he could say anything he wants. If it wasn't for his father, he would have got it. Now, he also made another claim, Michael. He said that he left college in, I think, 1970 or 1971. And he said in the next 2 years or 3 years, he was indicted 3 times and he beat 3 cases. So you just got into the life and you got indicted 3 times and you beat 3 cases? How dumb were you? How dumb were you? And then all of a sudden they made him a captain a couple of years later. Well, now to see, the story was that They made him a captain a couple of years later. Okay. Now the story was that he had to go and help his father. So the story changed again, that he had to help his father because Sonny was out and he couldn't see anybody. And they took him away from Andrew. I just saw this video the other day. They took him away from Andrew. Andrew objected, but Carmine said, yeah, he's got to be with his father. And then he became acting captain in his father's place when he became captain. I mean, take your choice on the stories. Take your choice. Anything that I've ever said in my book or whatever that happened is the same thing. I tell them the truth. I haven't changed or differentiated from anything I've said. Now, Michael did make a lot of money. I'm not going to say he didn't. Granted, he did. He did have the gasoline business. I'm not going to say he didn't. And he got involved in everything else. But everything else that he got involved in was on account of his father. And Ori Spado, if you know who Ori Spado is, Ori Spado will tell you the same thing. Ori will tell you the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Yeah, I've spoken with Ori a few times, and he said the same exact thing that you said, and he said that in some interviews as well. Eventually, we're going to try to get him on the show too. I read his book. He sent me a copy of it, and he talks a lot about his dealings with Sonny. And I agree with what you said earlier. Sonny was a gangster's gangster, and it's hard, in this life to find a guy that's as well loved and feared at the same time. Usually you got one or the other. I don't know if I would consider Greg Scarpa loved, but he was damn sure feared. And maybe one or the other, but it's hard to have both. Like that's a special kind of gangster to be able to come away with that. And Sonny had that.
Sonny just had he was a charismatic guy.
Charismatic guy.
Yeah. But Sonny was fair. But let me tell you, he was fair. But you don't. What he said, don't lie to him. He'll do the right thing. You lie to him or you fuck him once, you better take off. You screw him, you better leave. I'll tell you right now. You better go for the high. You better go for the high country.
Speaking of Scarpa, what about Greg? Did you have any run-ins with Greg?
I knew Greg. I was at the wake when his brother Sally got killed. I went to the wake when his brother got killed. I would meet Greg either he would come down to Carroll Street and 3rd Avenue, or I would meet him on 11th Avenue, sometimes on 13th Avenue. We would meet in Staten Island. Now, they have all this stuff that he was a rat and he ratted on guys. Now, all I'm going to say is what my cousin Mac told me. What did he do? Rat on guys he didn't like? Because Greg could have sent us away forever. Mm-hmm. Okay, let me leave it at that. He could have sent us away forever. Now, I don't know the guys that were around Greg at the time. I knew some guys that were around him, and things happened to them later on in years or whatever. But I seen Greg all the time when he used to come down to 3rd Avenue. He would come down to 3rd Avenue, come into the Diplomat, never brought anybody in with him, never brought anybody into the place with him. He would come down, Tony the Gawk would come down there, that's Tony Orgiello. I mean, everybody would come down there. Vinny Blue Eyes Alloy, Buster used to come down there, everybody was there. This was right on Cattle Street and 3rd Avenue. It's called the Diplomat Lounge. Right. It was a social club. It was our social club. All right. But Greg, I've had quite a few dealings with Greg, business wise, Shylock and numbers business, sports action, stuff like that. Yeah. And he dealt, and I never had a problem with him.
They said when he got diagnosed with the AIDS, and I'm sure most people probably know that story. If not, we'll get into it on another episode. We're supposed to have Larry Mazza on soon. When he was diagnosed with AIDS, because he got it from a blood transfusion in the hospital, he got it from one of his own guys.
That's what
the
I heard.
hospital was going to offer him blood, and he declined and wanted it from one of his own people. That person happened to have been doing something, I think it was along the lines of bodybuilding and sharing needles with steroids.
Right.
Anyways, he came down with the AIDS virus, and once he realized that, he became even more dangerous and more brutal because he knew his time was limited. And his give a fuck at that point was really non-existent from things that I've heard.
Well, like I said, what I knew with Greg, I knew a couple of things. Like I said, I knew what Greg was. I knew Greg would take your life in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Greg would not even blink an eye to take your life. But also, too, if Greg liked you, he'd give you a lot of leeway. Mm-hmm. he'd give you a lot of leeway. But if he didn't like you, forget about it. There ain't a rock you could hide under. He'll find you. He
What
would
about
definitely find you.
what about Mazza? Did you deal with the Larry Mazza any?
I never met Larry Mazza in my life.
Okay.
Never met him. Never heard of him until I started getting involved with the YouTube thing. Until I heard a couple people from YouTube. But I never met the man.
Okay. In your opinion, coming up, you've been in this game a long time. Who would you probably say was the most respected gangster out of them all? All that you had to deal with, from even young all the way up to now. Who do you think was probably the most respected out of them all?
I could name you quite a few of them that I would say they're all in the running for first place.
Give me your top 5.
All right, my top 5, I'll tell you, is Carmine Persico, my cousin Hugh McIntosh, definitely, with him. I would tell you my Uncle Lucky, Jerry Lang, who I was close with, very close with Jerry Lang, and I would say Carmine Labardoza.
Yeah. Some heavyweight.
I could put more guys in there. I could make a top 10 list, let's put it that way. I mean, I could put my 2 grandfathers in there also, my father, which, like he said, like we got confirmation, which Liz got confirmation on somebody who knows my father, who knew my father. I mean, a lot of guys. There was a lot of guys that were very well respected, whether they were feared or whatever. There were a lot of guys that were loved also. I mean, it's really hard to say who was the top guy. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Who was the top, most respected guy? Let's put it that way.
Yeah. In all your rackets, what do you think was the biggest money maker for you? Was it shylocking? Was it bookmaking? What do you think?
Gambling.
Was the biggest gambling?
Gambling.
And don't you find it odd that now all that shit's legal to do in most places?
Yeah, I know, right? It's legal.
I mean, you can't watch a damn football game without 15, whatever, all the DraftKings and all that,
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you about the gambling second. See, with the Shylock, and you got to remember something with the Shylock business. I lend you money. I'm getting 3-4 points a week. So on 10,000, I'm giving it to you, say, for 3 points, it's 300 a week. So I'm getting $300 every week, okay? But you got to remember now, think about how many weeks got to go by for me to recoup my $10,000 at $300 a week. You figure this way. On 10 weeks, it's $3,000. On 20 weeks, it's $6,000. All right. On 30 weeks, it's $9,000. So you're looking at 30 weeks, I get $9,000 back. So when we go into 40 weeks, that's when I start seeing a profit. You understand? So if that's the way you're going to do it, you got to have something else to keep you going.
Right.
Bookmaking, the numbers, the day number, the night number, the horse bets, the horse races. You gotta have a sports betting and everything, fine. But now, gambling. Here we go. We got a gambling night here. People come in, they're playing cards. Okay, fine. We're taking 5% of every pot. Period. Take a 5% on the pot, right off the top. So if the pot is, let's say the pot's $10,000, we take 5% of the pot. Okay, so figure 5% of the pot, but that's on every hand.
Every hand, yeah.
On every hand. Now, did we lay out any money? No. I mean, we have the place that we put up. We got the equipment. So now we got 5% on that. Okay, now you're playing the roulette table. Okay, the house is making money on the roulette table, but not everybody's always going to win. Now we got the crap game. All right, we're making a percentage on the crap game. You got the Chuck-a-Lock and you got the Baccarat games. We're making percentage on that. You got all the different card games, whether they're playing poker, blackjack, Texas Hold'em, River Poker. We're cutting the games and we're getting a percentage on everything. So we're making our money back that night. So in one night, let's call it Las Vegas night, make it sound nicer. All right. So in one night, we have a good Las Vegas night. We could make, rough estimate, 25,000 to 50,000. So if it cost us, say, 50,000 to put the place up, We just made the money back in one night, first night.
Mhm.
Second night is all profit. Third night is profit. Fourth night, every night after that's profit.
Yeah.
Because one thing you got to remember, no matter how bad things get, people always want to gamble.
Mm-hmm.
They will always gamble. They will always come in and gamble. Now, also in the gambling parlor, all right, you got to remember we had guys going around that were taking numbers also that night. They would take the day number and the night number, which would be either the flats or the trotters. They were taking those numbers also. We had guys in there that were picking up sports bets. They were picking up sports bets. We had guys who were picking up horse bets in there also, plus all the gambling that was going on. Then you can open up a little place where you're just having card games. You have maybe 4 tables or even 3 tables, even 2 tables you got. You got maybe 5 or 6 guys here, 5 or 6 guys there. They start playing 10 o'clock at night, maybe 11 o'clock. They don't stop until maybe 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. But again, you're getting 5% out of every pot.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you're giving them, like, you're giving them booze for free, food is for free.
Yeah.
Everybody used to tell me, what are you giving them booze and food that costing you money? I'm getting 5% from every pot, from every hand. So one table in the course of a night could bring me 100 hands. So figure it out. It's 5%. If you got, let's say every pot was only $5,000, you're getting 5%.
Mm-hmm.
So 5% on that would be what, $50, I think, something like that. Let me think. On $1,000, it's 100. Yeah, it would be 50. So it would be, say, $250.
Right.
Do 100 hands like that, and do the math.
Money.
You got over 20 grand on one table.
I was
Now you got
introduced to
2
that.
tables running, or 3 tables.
I was introduced to that at a young age. My father was a big gambler, and him and a lot of his buddies would go and they would play cards. Now, when I tell you
Right.
these guys would play cards, they play cards for fucking days. And we would go over there on a Friday. You know, when it's first getting started, everybody's a little bit more relaxed. But I'm sitting over there, I'm over to the side, and I'm looking. And I noticed every hand, you know, the guy would take a dollar bill, and he had this like a case of beer, but it was empty, and the top was cut off of it. So it's basically like a box. So every hand he'd take and he'd slide and he'd drop it in a box. So I'm sitting there, and then later on I asked my father, I said, why does he keep putting the money in the box? He said, he's chipping the pot. I said, well, why does he do that? Ain't people supposed to be winning that? And he explained to me, he's like, hey, he said, all this food we're eating, he bought. All this beer we're drinking, he bought. This garage, this is his. You know, it's his lights, his bathroom, his everything, you know, so that's the price for playing it. So I'm late, you know, about 10 o'clock, he's like, all right, you know, it's time to get out of here. Things will start getting serious. The guys start playing a little heavier. I come back Saturday, still playing. He don't come in till Sunday. These guys played poker for 3 days or 2.5. Yeah. So you think of how many hands is chipped in 2.5 days is fucking insane how much money they were making. I mean,
thank you.
You have guys that can run a poker game on a weekend, and that's all they got to do. They don't need to have a job. Yeah. And this is a small town like where I grew up in Darlington, South Carolina. So imagine what it's like in a city like New York when you got millions and millions of people walking around wanting to gamble. It's crazy.
Right. Now, you got to remember, I also had after-hour clubs.
Right. Now,
they open up at 4 o'clock in the morning. People come in there, and we didn't close maybe until 8 o'clock in the morning. But we're charging $7, $10 a drink, depending on the drink. So you want to come to an after-hour club, you're going to pay more money. But the people who come in there would spend the money because they didn't want to go home. And then comes 8 o'clock in the morning, you practically got to kick them out the door because they don't want to go home. They don't want to go. A friend of mine, I can tell you a quick story. A friend of mine, Jimmy Boyle, he passed away. He was a very dear friend of mine. I know him since we were kids. His father came here from Ireland, his father and his mother. All right. And they bought a building on 5th Avenue and 57th Street in Brooklyn, in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. And downstairs, the father made a bar. It was called the Green Isle Inn. And then upstairs, there were 2 6 or 7 room apartments. And it was nothing but family that lived in there. Anyway, the old man had the bar, and it's nice. It was a lot of Irish in the area, good bar and everything. So one day he tells me, he says, we got an after-hour club that we're going to put in here. I says, Phil, how you going to put an after-hour club? He goes, we pulled the license in. Instead of people walking in the front door, they're going to walk in the side door on 57th Street. He says, I want you here with my son. He goes, if he can't go to the people that he knows You know, if there's a problem, at least he's got you and you go to your people. It's okay, fine. Because you get a piece of the action. It's okay. We would open up the doors at 4 o'clock. He would at 4 o'clock in the morning. We used to shut the front door, pull the license in from the window, open the side door, and people would come in from the side. We had Joker poker machines in there. We had pinball machines. People come in, $7, $8 a drink, like there was no problem. We had wise guys that used to come in there. Hey, what you doing? Okay, good. Boom. They just spend their money, spend their money. It got to the point that we practically would have to throw people out at 8 o'clock in the morning. So Jimmy says, "Don't bother." He goes, "I got a perfect thing." I said, "Wait." He goes, "Come with me." We go in the back. He gets this fucking bottle. He pours half alcohol, half ammonia, and half bleach. The owner, I almost fucking passed out. He put the cap on. He goes, "Watch." He's walking through the place and he's squirting it on the floor. You can see the fumes coming up from the floor. People are gagging and they're choking. They're running out of the place like it was on fire. That's how we used to get people out of the place. Now, he had a floor in there. It was a wooden floor. It was wooden tiles. That throughout the years, it got stained and dirty. After he kept throwing this stuff on the floor, it started turning white again. I'm telling you, what we used to do. Sunday mornings, we had to get everybody out here throw it on. Now, everybody knew. It was only on Saturday morning and Sunday morning. The only time he came out with this, because from Monday to Friday morning, everybody would leave because who had to go to work or whatever. But come Saturday, Friday night to Saturday, and Saturday to Sunday, these people didn't want to leave. They didn't want to go home. They were looking for another after-hour club to go to. Meanwhile, we got people coming down the block going to church, because you had a big church 2 blocks away. You had all the old ladies in the neighborhood, and people are running out coughing and gagging. But yet they come right back again. They come right back the next night, start spending money. They didn't care. As long as they were out to have a good time. Now, in Desiree, we had a good deal in Desiree. The way it was on West 6th Street, excuse me, right off the corner from Kings Highway. And there was a Desiree Club. Then there was a store. And Joe Z got the store, and he made a Desiree car service. Now, when you went into the car service, it had a back room, the car service. You were going to the back room. Then there was another door. When you went into that door, you went into the club. Okay, that was great. But the main entrance to the club was outside. People would come in there. Now, Joe, what he used to do, he used to rent out the place it was very big place. It was beautiful, Desiree. He had a waterfall in the back, everything. He would rent it out for like weddings, christenings, whatever. And he would cater the food for the people. All right. He would get it it was a place called Jacques on Avenue U in Brooklyn. Now, 3 o'clock, by 3:45, everybody was out. So he used to say, so I used to tell him, I said, "What do you want to do with the food? You want to wrap it up?" Why do you want? Because leave it out. It's a buffet. We're giving it to the people as a buffet. So all the food that was left over from the wedding or the christening, we would leave it out. And the people would come in for after hours, thought like what the hell we did, because we're letting them have this food for nothing. But me, I was already paid for. And they used to drink, and they used to come in there and drink, and people would come in and out. I mean, we would lock up there about, not even lock up. Me, Joe, and a bunch of us would go down to, there was a diner on Kings Highway in West 11th Street. We would go down there maybe about 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. We still had people in the club that were going home. Because West 6th Street, nobody bothered us over there. We used to go to the diner, being there maybe about an hour and a half. By the time we came back, everybody was out, lock everything up, go home and go to sleep, and come back the next night.
Did you guys ever go like hang out anywhere like neutral territory, like Studio 54 or anything like that? Just to,
Yeah, we went to Studio 54 years ago. We went to Regine's. We went to New York, New York. We went to all of them. We used to go out to all the places. But the best place I went to, I gotta tell you, the wildest place I went to was it was a place called Intrepids. This place that I went to, it was down by the water. This place is unfucking real. This place was called Intrepids. It opened up, let's see if I remember correctly. It was, I think, either Thursday night or Friday morning it opened up. I believe it was more or less on Friday morning it opened, and it didn't close until Monday morning. It's the only time it was open. A friend of mine says, A friend of mine, Joe Jewelry, his name was. We called him Joe Jewelry. He was close with my cousin Mac. He says, you got to go to this place. He goes, it's a wild place. He says, Anthony, you won't believe what goes on in this place. He goes, and they're always looking for money. I think, oh, great, another place we can make Shylock money on. He goes, you got to go there. So I walked into the place. It was 3 levels. Now, when I tell you, I mean, you've seen people in there, girls in there in wedding dresses, guys dressed up in tuxedos with the top hats, guys dressed like freaking the New Year's baby. And I'm like, well, I mean, a freak show all the way around the board. So I said, I got to go to the bar. I want to get a drink. I go to the bar. I get a drink, and I'm having a drink, and I'm talking with a friend of mine. And this girl's on top of the bar dancing. Okay, who cares? Next thing you know, my friend Carmen goes, Anthony, look. I said, Carmen, I go, take a look. She's got no clothes on. She's dancing on top of the bar with no clothes on. Nobody's even paying attention to her. Like it was nothing. I said, fuck this. Come on. Let's go by the poker machine. Let's talk. We're by there talking. So he goes, so about 10 minutes go by. He goes, look. He goes, look. I said, why? Look, you got to have a fucking laugh. She's laying on the bar, and there's a guy doing her on top of the bar.
Oh.
Right on the bar. Guy's doing her. There's a guy, now I'm going to make it up, there's a guy trying to tell the bartender he's trying to give him the money over the guy as the guy's humping this broad on top of the fucking bar. I said, you got to be kidding me with this joint. Now, here's the best part. I see a Pac-Man machine. I says, Jesus, I haven't played that yet. Let me go play the Pac-Man machine. I tell Carmine. And my friend Tommy, he passed away now, but he was with us. He goes, all right, go ahead. I'm playing the machine. I got to hear, ow. What's that going? I'm tapping my feet. Ow. What the fuck? There's a guy underneath the machine with a girl doing their thing. I was stepping on his fucking hand. I don't know what the fuck did I know. I know. Oh. This joint was I'm telling you, a wildest. Anything went in this place. This place had 3 levels. I'm telling you, the freakiest of the freaks in this place. But let me tell you, the money we made in this place years ago in the Shylock business, we would give them like the bartender. All the bartenders would take like $1,000 a night. Give me 1,000. Okay, here's 1,000. They go and do what they want. Before the night's over, they come back, Anthony, here's your 1,000, here's the interest. Here's your 1,000, every one of them. Okay, then I find out we're giving them 1,000. They're taking 1,000. They're going and buying coke off the coke dealers in the place. The bartenders are making maybe 3,000-4,000 a night in tips. Mm-hmm. So the guy's giving me back my 1,000 plus interest, and then he's taking home money. The next night when they call me to come by the next night, they all line it up. They want 1,000 apiece. Hey, 1,000 apiece. Come back at closing, boom, each one of them gives you the money back. That's why I got Carmine Lombardo's involved with me, because we did it in New York. We did it in Regimes. We were doing it in Rum Bottoms. That was out in Long Island. We were doing it in all the clubs. It was like unbelievable the what we were making over there. Wow. I mean, that was the best. That was the best way to do Shylock money. Yeah. That was the best way to do it. You give it to the guy gives it back to you that night with interest, and the next night he borrows it again.
Yeah.
Hey, fine, I don't care. But then you had to see also. Then you had people of, I guess you would call people that were involved in the show business throughout all these clubs, and they would borrow money also, and they would give it back to you the next night with the interest, and then they would come to you later on that night and borrow it again.
Yeah,
I mean, it was crazy. It was a craziest time back then, but the best money making time was from the 70s and the 80s until I went away. Until even after I came home. That was the best time you made money.
I can believe that, man. I always said
everything went to shit.
If there was one time frame that I would want to be around there in, it would be like in, Studio 54 heyday. It seemed like that would have been I mean, obviously, in certain elements it's dangerous, but it seemed like that would have been a fun time to be there in New York.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you went away, what did you eventually go away for?
All right. It was loan shark and extortion, conspiracy, organized crime, and racketeering. Those are my 2 cases that I had. Mm-hmm. But I went away on the loan shark and extortion and conspiracy on the second case I went away for. And then I got the violation on the organized crime and racketeering from the first case. And I had to go away on both cases.
And how many years
So
did you
they
get total?
they made them both run together, the sentences.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, I got the highest fucking sentence out of everybody on the case.
And how many years?
Altogether, he gave me 8.
Hey. So when you come home, at what point do you just decide that this isn't the life you want to be in? Because I mean, you didn't get him put into a situation where some people are, where you had to testify or cooperate or anything like
No.
that. You done your
Nope.
time. You come home. At what point was it just that you'd had enough, and what drove you to that decision?
I started thinking about it in 1997 when my cousin Mac died. Then I thought about it more in 2001 when my father died. And then I stuck with it. I stuck with it because then I stuck with Uncle with it. And then I went with Uncle Danny Salenti up on Arthur Avenue. But then when I seen around maybe 2011, somewhere around there, I seen everything started changing. Meaning that it was all like a lot of, they're bringing guys into the family that the only reason why they're bringing it in, you're going out with the boss's daughter, let's bring him in.
Mm-hmm.
You're a good friend of the boss's son, well, let's bring him in and make him. You're going out with the guy's grandmother, his aunt, his cousin, his this, his that, the brother, the sister, bring him in and make him, bring him in and make him. Meanwhile, they did nothing to prove what deserved them to be made, to become a member. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
In order to become part of a family, a bona fide member of the family where you get straightened out, you had to do a piece of work.
Mm-hmm.
And 90% of all these guys that they made have not done a piece of work. Have not. And years ago, the way they did it with a piece of work was, say, if they said you were capable of doing it, okay, we want you to be straightened out. So to prove that we can trust you, you have to do a piece of work. So what they would do, let's say they're going to make you. Now I'm a made guy. I'm taking you on to work. You're going to do it. You're going to do it. Now, and I'm there to observe. You do the work. I come back. I says, hey, Chip, did it without blinking an eye, man. Perfect. He's one of us. Okay, fine. Now, if you freeze up and you don't do it, I step in, I do the work. And then I tell you, okay, come on, let's go. Let's get out of here. As we're leaving, I put 2 bullets in you also and get rid of you because now we can't trust you.
Yeah.
We can't trust you because you don't have what it takes to do this.
Right.
If you're going to be straightened out.
Right.
Only if you're going to be straightened out, that's for.
Okay.
If you're not going to be straightened out, you can keep on going on and on forever. Just being an earner, earning, and you got to go to one of the wise guys who's around, who you're around, give him his end, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, because a lot of guys, I mean, that wasn't what they did. They weren't killers or murderers. You know, they made money. They were looked at as cash registers to a certain extent because there was people that just had that ability to bring in money.
Right.
And, you know, too, I look at it around those times, especially, I would say the 90s. You know, obviously, I know there was guys that testified before Sammy. You know, you had what was it, Joe Valachi,
Right.
Ibarelis. I think he was going to. He took a dive out of a window. I think Costello might have had a little something to do with that, maybe paying some guards to take a coffee break at the right time. But, you know, Sammy really kind of started that whole thing. And a lot of people's debated, you know, was Sammy acting out of vengeance? Was he acting as a coward? You know, I don't know. I can't put myself in his shoes. You know, Sammy done a lot of work. He done a lot of work for John. According to him, he was going to take the time. But then when he heard those tapes, it pissed him off. So I don't know. That's often a highly debated topic about him and what he done. But it seemed like after that, that kind of set the tone, and there was more and more people willing to cooperate because it was like mainstream. John Gotti was in the news. Then you had Sammy go against them. It was almost like that was like, okay, now this is okay. You guys can do it. It's no big thing anymore. And that opened the floodgates.
Well, I'm going to give you my opinion on something, okay? When you get a guy that's too eager and too anxious and too willing to take somebody's life, you got to watch out for him. I'll tell you why. In my opinion, because that's the guy that's going to rat you out as soon as the heat comes down. That's the guy that's going to rat you out right away. Number one. Number two, I said this before. I said it, God knows how many times I said it. You take any family, say a family, any organized crime family in the United States. Let's say you got 7 captains in the family, and each one of those captains has a crew. I will guarantee you at least one guy in every crew is talking to the law. And I don't care what anybody says. At least one guy in every crew is talking to the law. Because you have guys that come into this life saying, I'm going to be a gangster. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to make money. But if I get caught, I'm going to give everybody up. They already have it in their head. They're going to give somebody up. All right. Everybody says, oh, no, you don't know what you're talking about, Anthony. You're a lot. No, I know what I'm talking about because I tell you, I've seen them. Yeah. The one guy went on a piece of work. The guy, Anthony Russo with the Colombos. He went on a piece of work, whatever the hell it was supposed to be done work. And when certain people came out, they made him 1, 2, 3. Boom, they made him. As soon as he got pinched, he gave everybody up. Mm-hmm. Okay? Gave everybody up, and he went into witness protection program. Okay? There's an example. There's one example over there. Then you had Carmine Sessa. They brought him in. I don't know if Carmine ever did. I heard he's done work. I don't know. They brought him in. They made him consigliere. They made him this. They made him that. Yeah. The Colombo War was on. He got arrested. He gave everybody up. Okay? Gave everybody up. So, this is the way, this is my opinion. Every crew has, I would say, one guy that's talking to law enforcement. And I don't care what anybody says. They could all tell me you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. What I'm saying makes sense because look at the way everything has been going.
Yeah.
Look at the way everything's been going. These guys are giving up guys left and right.
Yeah, it's almost like that's almost more common now than the oath of omerta that this whole thing originated from, which is at a point to where then you kind of have to almost regroup, restructure, be more selective of who you let in there.
Yeah.
And that I don't know if they're at a time and place where they can really do that. I don't know if there's a rebuild mode they can go into. Let me ask you this: after everything, all said and done, where you're at right now, do you miss that life at all?
Oh yeah, definitely. I always said if it would have still been like it was in the 70s and the 80s, I would have never left. Mm-hmm. I would have never left.
So the fall.
But like I tell everybody, how I left, I seen who I had to see. I took care of everybody that I had to take care of. And they even told me, go ahead and go. They said, because these new guys are going to put you in here with us for 1,000 years. And like they tell me, you write your book, 2 things. Don't make us look bad. I said, that would never happen. And don't make us look like monsters. But I took care of everybody before I left. I gave them, going away present, shall we say. Mm-hmm. And that was it. I didn't make no bones about what I did. Because what was I going to do? I'm going to take orders from a 24-year-old. They told me one time I was going to take orders from a 24-year-old kid. I said, really? Never going to happen. Not in this world. Not in this lifetime. I said, what did this kid? Well, he's going out with so-and-so's daughter, and we're bringing him into crew, and no, I'm an enforcer. You just made him, I'm above him. I don't take fucking orders from him. And the kid said something to me, and I turned around and said, son, let me tell you 2 things here. One, you open up your fucking mouth to me again, I'll take your head off right here now. I said, I don't give a fuck if I go back to you. I'll take your fucking head off right here with my teeth. I said, let me put it that way. And the kid looked at me. That's okay. Now there's my answer.
I'm on it.
End of story. I'm not taking orders from a 24-year-old kid because you made him because he's going out with your sister, or he's going out, or your brother's going out with his sister. No, it's not going to happen. Yeah. As I say, there's a lot of nepotism in there that screwed everything up.
Well, I hope we cleared up some things today about some guys that you have business with, some guys that you may have worked with or run across in the past. I mean, you don't meet too many guys that's been around for as long as you have, either still alive or not in the can, that can talk and attest to meeting some of these people. And most at that time, if you do get to talk with them, have done some sort of cooperation, be it turn in other mob guys, be it turn in dirty cops or something along those lines. So we appreciate you coming on the show again now for the second time, kind of setting this record straight, letting everybody know hopefully some details that maybe they hadn't ever heard before. Like I said, I can't thank you enough for coming on again, man. I'm glad to have you again.
My pleasure.
You're a great guest, man. And I hope maybe we can get you back on here for a third show at some point in time.
Yeah, that'd be good.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed that episode of Crime and Entertainment. I am Hollywood Wade. That was Anthony Raimondi. And unfortunately, we are out of time. Anthony, I appreciate it, my friend.
See you on the greenbound.
Yes, sir.